and welcome to Have I Got News For You. I'm Alexander Armstrong. In the news this week. In Islington, after a summer of negative headlines about anti-Semitism, Jeremy Corbyn finally gives the Jewish Chronicle an in-depth interview.
Good morning, nice to see you. Goodbye.
A BBC journalist reacts to the news that male presenters are still paid far more than their female counterparts. And the Kennel Club admits that it has raised the qualification standards for this year's Crufts. On Ian's team tonight is a political journalist who, on her breakfast show, greets viewers as they wake up in the morning. Unlike me on Pointless, who greets viewers as they wake up in the afternoon. Please welcome Naga Munchetty. And with Paul tonight is a comedian who went to a small rural school in the heart of Devon, where he learnt the 3 R's. Arr. Please welcome Josh Widdicombe. And we start with the biggest stories of the week. Ian and Naga, take a look at this.
Oh, it's the Prime Minister, or it was when we went out. There she is. Oh!
Not such fancy footwork there. Where are the fields of wheat?
It's the world's most famous misprint. That was the Tory conference.
Mm-hmm.
It was.
Which was big news, because Mrs May made a speech and it wasn't terrible. Which is absolutely riveting.
But she stole the show elsewhere, didn't she, obviously, with the dancing?
You like the dancing?
I loved the dancing.
But...
I'm not a great one to judge, I'll put that out there straight away.
Well, I was going to say, you've been on Strictly.
Exactly, I'm not a great one to judge.
Well, you lasted 4 weeks.
Just.
Well, that may be what she's going for.
Have I missed the news that Theresa May is on Strictly?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, she danced onto the podium.
It's a dancing queen.
Shall we just...
Oh, yes, please.
I think we need a look. It's Mama May.
I didn't think it was possible to walk out of step. I've seen that before.
It's an astonishing move she's got.
Yeah.
She's
Like she's moving a fridge, isn't it?
What did May pledge to end?
That dance. Oh, austerity's over.
The end of austerity.
Yes.
Indeed.
Well, I'm glad they told us.
Very arbitrary,
Because
isn't it?
otherwise you'd have to guess, and,
Yeah.
and looking around, it's quite hard to spot.
Yeah.
Biggest national debt ever in history. It's over. So forget about it, doesn't matter. It's gone. And that last 10 years, I hope you're happy. Because it was all worth it, 'cause it's over.
She said the British people need to know that the end is in sight. I mean, blimey, it can't be that bad. Theresa May reassured the people Britain's best days lie ahead. What, when Corbyn gets in? Speaking of Jeremy Corbyn, how did his dancing at the Labour Party conference measure up?
Oh, I imagine it was better.
Well, after his speech, all the Tory press went into complete panic, because it wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
And they had no idea how to react. Oh, no, you're meant to be useless.
Let's have a look. Here's him dancing.
Everybody was out apart from him. That amazing.
Theresa May wasn't the only politician to try and inject a bit of humour into her speech at the conference. Did anyone see Sajid Javid's zinger?
I always like these, but I didn't see it. Is it up to the usual standard?
It is good. Have a look at this. Kapow.
I know the question that's on your mind. So let's just deal with it now, up front. Yes, I did watch The Bodyguard. No, it wasn't very realistic. For a start, my code name is not Lavender. And she didn't even do the power stance.
was 4 bad ones in a row.
Yeah.
Oh, that could kill most careers in comedy.
You see the sign there? Well, the last year, all the letters fell off. And when I'm reading it, I keep seeing pity.
Boris Johnson tried to upstage the Prime Minister. How did he go about that?
Well, he had his own side show, didn't he?
He did,
With
the day
lots and
before.
lots of queues.
Yes. How many people were there?
There were 1,000.
1,400.
1,400?
In some places, they
that
said-
many people
Yeah,
turn up?
absolutely right.
Well, that's not going to get him in.
No. The Guardian reported that in order to see Boris's speech, delegates queued for up to 4 hours.
Unbelievable. Well, that's the level of support he's got. I don't want to be disrespectful to Boris's speech, but I think perhaps he should see a therapist, because throughout you just kept hearing these words like betrayal, trust, loyalty, cheat. Cheat! 4 weeks ago he got thrown out the house and the locks changed.
Boris. What is Boris trying to do here, do we think?
Dispose of a body?
Well, he was running, wasn't he?
Yeah, but we don't know away from who.
Well, why do we always see him jogging in shorts? He can't remember where he left his trousers.
Also,
Why hasn't he lost any weight?
why hasn't he lost any weight? He's always jogging or on a bike.
Is he trying to do a parody? I think he is.
I think he is, yes. Theresa May said, isn't it, the only naughty thing she could think that she'd done was sneak into a field of wheat.
Run
She
through.
run through, yes, with gay abandon. And he's impersonating that.
Yes.
So does she have to do the naughty things that he's done? Bad news for Philip May.
Back to Boris. Did you hear his speech? God, it was bad. He at one point said there's a 14th century law and that the government should be prosecuted under praemunire. And everyone went, oh, marvellous, Boris. It's not true. It was repealed in 1967. It's just another lie. The only good thing about this one is you didn't put it on a bus.
Boris isn't the only person upset with how Brexit is being handled by the government. Have a look at this woman marching against Brexit on the Channel 4 News.
Why are you here?
I don't trust the politicians. They're full of egos. They're just rubbish, basically.
What are you...
Can't stand the uncertainty and the chaos. It's absolutely appalling.
Well, she's got no problem with her ego, has she? That's a nice beret. Wasn't she in a low?
In other policy news, though,
Yeah,
what
policy
did
news.
Theresa May announce this week to help the UK celebrate and revel in a post-Brexit world?
We're going to have a festival.
Oh,
Wonderful.
yes.
Yes.
Festival of Brexit.
Yes.
That's it, yes.
Like the Festival of Britain.
That's right. She's announced plans to put £120 million aside to showcase the best the country has to offer in business, technology, arts and sport. It's going to be called The Festival. Look at that, already showcasing the talent we have.
But what's it celebrating?
The talent we have.
Our ability to put on a festival. Coloured tents with stripes all down the side. Lovely.
And ABBA.
ABBA.
Just going to point out that ABBA aren't the best that we have to offer.
Doesn't matter.
Can we just bring in things from Europe? This is what we're missing.
And well, let's not forget the Lib Dems and Vince.
You have?
No, we remember them in the nick of time.
Yes.
Vince Cable. What was his major triumph at the Lib Dem conference?
Still alive.
Is that the party or just him?
He's going to outlive the party.
He had a joke, and it was leaked to the press.
Yes.
So we knew what the joke was, and this is what they do now. They say the leader will say. So then you wait for it, and then they mess it up.
He got his spin doctors to
Yeah.
prepare the nation for the great put-down he was going to deliver to hard Brexiteers. When he came to it, he couldn't quite sell the phrase erotic spasm. Erotic spasm. Here's what he said.
For the true believers, the fundamentalists, the costs of Brexit have always been irrelevant. Years of economic pain justified by the exotic spasm.
Do they get any warning of what they're about to say?
Yes, well, this is Theresa May's third Tory conference as Prime Minister. Take that, Paddy Power. After Theresa May danced her way onto the stage, the Daily Mail reported for once she had the audience laughing with her, not at her. Actually, it was mainly nervous laughter because most of the people were worried that their rectums would never unclench. According to the Daily Mirror, Plymouth University Conservatives caused outrage by going out to a bar with one of them sporting a Hitler moustache and wearing anti-Semitic messages on a T-shirt. They've now been suspended by the Conservative Party and warmly welcomed by the Labour Party. Former head of the CBI, Digby Jones, attacked Boris Johnson for recently making the remark, fuck business. And, of course, fuck business is normally what Boris has scheduled in from 3 to... Paul and Josh, take a look at this.
Salisbury, lovely place to visit.
123 metres, that spire.
The Russians there, and there's Putin, of course. Knows nothing about it at all.
But what if they are just two guys who had a shit holiday?
It'd be on TripAdvisor, wouldn't it? Now, let me get this right. The guy that they poisoned was a guy called Schiphol.
Yep.
And the airport that they travelled to in Amsterdam is called Schiphol. So is this indicating that the Russians are out to get people who have names that sound like airports? Like it should Stansted be worried.
Awful news for JFK.
JFK or Luton. Or G.A. Twick. That's Gatwick, by the way. G.A. Twick. Heathrow.
Yes.
Are we going to go through them all?
If there was a bloke called Heathrow and he went to Russia, it could be Terminal 4 Heathrow. Do you know what I mean?
What is the latest on Sergei Skripal?
Putin described him as a scumbag.
That's right.
Yeah.
They don't really care about getting caught, though, do they?
No. Putin's kind of just admitted it now.
And it doesn't matter how bad the excuse is.
No.
I mean, two middle-aged men with cropped hair, very thick-set, saying, we're great admirers of the cathedral city of Salisbury. You think, no, you're not really.
Well, didn't they go one day and then they said they had to leave because it was a bit too cold for them?
Yeah, there was a lot of slush, which they weren't used to in Russia.
No.
Yeah.
After the poisoning, the Russian ambassador was asked about diplomatic relations between Britain and Russia, and he said, they've become rather poisonous. I mean, he's auditioning for a Bond film now.
Why didn't they just shoot him in the head?
Sorry, what?
You know, they got... I mean...
I didn't expect that from the host of Pointless.
Well, no, why did they go to all these lengths? I mean, if they really don't care what we think.
I think it's
That's a good
fiercer.
point.
It's more exciting, isn't it?
I suppose, yeah. How do Russian security services contemptuously refer to the two spies?
The two spies
The two spies, the would-be
Skripals,
assassins.
the would-be assassins.
Soon to be dead.
According to the Times, they're known as Dolce and Gabbana in Russian spy circles because of the suggestion by a TV interviewer that they appeared to be two gay men on holiday. The editor of Russia Today, Margarita Samonyan, who interviewed them, tweeted after the interview, I don't know if they're gay or not gay. They're so stylish with their beards and haircuts and tight pants. They didn't come on to me. Definitely gay then, Margarita. What else is likely to emerge this week?
The sun. You know what else is likely to emerge?
We are likely to discover the identity of the second Russian assassin.
Oh, are we?
Oh.
Yeah. And how do we know this?
A website called Bellingcat.
That is exactly right. How did Elliot Higgins, who's the founder of Bellingcat, how did he identify Colonel Chapiga? That's the first...
You met him in a gay club in Salisbury.
He found an old photo of him in a graduation.
That's exactly right, yeah. He found the spy's Secret Service record on public websites. He said, I've looked at a lot of ears in photographs and I've never seen anything so distinctive. Really? Elliot Higgins is pretty cool for somebody who has probably severely narked the Russians. He told The Observer that the Russians are pretty incompetent. If a black van pulls up and 4 Russian guys leap out, there's not a lot I'm going to be able to do, so I try not to worry about it too much. The good news for Elliot is former Russian FSB colonel has admitted that his security services aren't up to scratch. We do have a problem with the professionalism of our intelligence recruits, so if there are any Russian hitmen watching, Elliot, we can reveal, looks like this.
Do you want to leave that photo up just a little bit longer in case anyone missed it.
How is the leader of the other great superpower shaping up this week? What did Donald Trump say was one of the best things about him?
Well, he doesn't drink beer, and his father didn't pay any taxes at any point. So his myth of being a self-made American millionaire is not true, which is extraordinary. I'm suggesting the President of the US is lying. But he does appear to have made it all up from almost birth.
Let's have a look.
I'm just saying, I'm not a drinker. I can honestly say I never had a beer in my life, okay?
Right.
It's one of my only good traits. I don't drink. Whenever they're looking for something good, I say, I never had a glass of alcohol. I've never had alcohol. I've just, you know, for whatever reason. Can you imagine if I had? What a mess I'd be?
That's the best advert for drinking I've ever seen. I think they should play that all the time.
Brett Kavanaugh, meanwhile, had this to say this week.
Drinking beer, which I gladly do and which I fully embrace. I liked beer. I still like beer.
There we are.
Well, there's the other side, then. The Republicans want him to be in the Supreme Court, but I think Trump has decided that he should be the judge, because he now addresses rallies and decides on people's innocence. And he had a rally and said that the woman who gave evidence against him, I mean, there's an investigation, they had a hearing, but Trump's decided that he knows. So he took the piss out of her at a rally, saying she's lying. And given that he's usually lying, that's a sort of odd double negative. So you start thinking, well, maybe she isn't, even if you thought she was. Anyway, we'll know soon, because the FBI will tell us.
So, yes, this is the continuing fallout from the Salisbury poisoning. The so-called assassins claim they were innocent tourists fulfilling a lifelong dream to visit Salisbury Cathedral, presumably inspired by that traditional children's rhyme, here's the church, here's the steeple, don't touch that door, it's Mr. Screeple. Talking of dangerous knobs, according to The Times, US Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh has faced snowballing allegations. Complaining about the accusations against Kavanaugh, Donald Trump said it's a very scary time for young men in America when you can be guilty of something you may not be guilty of. You don't say, said 40 million black Americans. And so to round two and the picture spin quiz, so fingers on buzzers, teams. Ah, yes, Paul and Josh.
This is the beluga well that's somewhere near Gravesend, making his way up the Thames perhaps. It's still out there. Seems to be feeding all right. People are staying away from it because it's not really his normal habitat. He's more of a Dagenham whale.
Where's it supposed to be?
The Antarctic.
Arctic?
The same place.
Thousands of miles away in the Arctic. Yeah, conservation expert.
That's where Shackleton went wrong.
That's where he went wrong. He went wrong.
But he's on his way because some of his friends have said that Salisbury's lovely. So
yeah. He's going to go to a cathedral.
Yeah.
Conservation expert Julia Cable said it's possible that it lost its way and has taken a wrong turn.
No shit.
How are they going to get him out of there?
He's fine. And conservationists, they just let him be and let nature take its course.
There's no plan B. It's very familiar. Sort of British policy now. Yeah, we got a whale up the Thames, so what? See what happens.
Is he a skilled whale? Because then he'll be allowed to stay.
Can he pick fruit?
Sticking with polar creatures, how are Telford Zoo dealing with a shortage of penguins?
Oh, they've all dressed up as penguins.
No, they've replaced them
penguins.
with models, exactly. There we go. Plastic penguins there.
Is this to encourage them to mate?
How can you mate with a stone penguin?
Well, I'm thinking off the top of my head, maybe it's encouraging competition.
So of all the penguins we're seeing there, how many are genuine?
None.
None of those penguins
None
are
of those
genuine?
are genuine. So apparently there is a shortage of penguins throughout Europe, and the zoo needs 6 Humboldt penguins, so they bought some plastic ones from a model shop in Devon.
That's a bit of a rip-off.
You can't...
You go to a zoo and everything's plastic.
Well, I know, but this is particularly embarrassing for Telford Zoo because they've just spent 60,000 quid on their new penguin enclosure.
What?
Yeah.
What's happened to their penguins?
Well, apparently, according to the zoo owner, penguins only mate once a year, so unless we put models in, we've got to sit back and let nature take its course.
But there's no penguins there to mate in the first place.
No. How has the BBC managed to save roughly £1 million a year this week?
Oh, no, bad news, Naga.
Tell you you right now, it wasn't me.
Is that on Chris Evans' salary?
It is exactly on Chris Evans's. They're replacing
Fabulous
Chris
Zoe Ball.
Evans with fabulous Zoe Ball. She's going to be the new host of the BBC Radio 2 breakfast show. This is how the BBC News broke the story. This is the news that a beluga whale has set up home in the River Thames. According to the Daily Mail, Benny's gender is not known. I'm no marine biologist, but surely you can see the cock on a whale, can't you? According to The Guardian, within 2 hours of the animal being spotted, it was being chased by TV helicopter crews overhead. And the whale was asking for the number of Cliff Richard's lawyer. That is on Buzz's teams.
This is a physicist
Yes.
at CERN who said that the history of physics was largely created by men. He implied that women weren't very good at physics, but nowadays there were so many women getting jobs in physics that men couldn't get a job. I didn't really follow his argument.
Do you remember what his name was, the professor?
Idiot.
His name is Professor Alessandro Strumier from the CERN laboratory project. That's part of the Large Hadron Collider, isn't it? And, yes, he's upset female scientists and womankind. One of his claims is that Oxford University has lengthened its science exams by 15 minutes specifically to help women. Why is this so shocking?
Because it's not true?
No, because it is true. According to The Telegraph, students taking maths and computer science examinations in the summer of 2017 were given an extra 15 minutes to complete their papers after Dons ruled that female candidates might be more likely to be adversely affected by time pressure.
Have we got much longer? I'm feeling a bit faint.
I'm going up to get more paper.
This is the Italian scientist who told a group of female physicists that physics was invented by men. Professor Anne Christine Davis, a physicist at Cambridge University, said, "I just don't know what planet he lives on." I'm afraid you've rather played right into his hands. So time now for the odd one out round. It's just one between you this week. Your four are Dominic Raab, Sir Walter Raleigh, Weight Watchers and Kanye West.
Kanye West has changed his name to Yee.
Yes.
Y-E-E.
Yes.
Weight Watchers, I think they've lost the weight, haven't they? No pun intended. Haven't they taken the weight out of their name, just calling themselves Watchers now? So that must be the root of the odd one outness.
Yeah.
So it's between Walter Raleigh and Dominic Raab. Is that his name?
Raab seems like it might be a different name that's become Raab. No.
Well, Kanye has
Gone to shorten names.
And Raleigh lengthened his name, because it was Raleigh and then Raleigh, or Raleigh as we pronounce it.
Sir. He added the Sir.
Yeah.
And then he invented...
just after...
He wasn't born Sir Walter Raleigh.
No.
You're right.
He made it longer. No,
he
he would occasionally go by Water sometimes. He would drop the L.
Really? Water?
Water.
So three of them have shortened their names, so Dominic Raab has lengthened his name.
Yeah, how has he linked?
He's added an A.
Well, you're getting
originally
there.
Rab. And now he's Raab, and soon he's going to be a Raab.
Well, actually, they have all made their names shorter, except Raab, who had his name made longer by his staff. According to the London Review of Books, Raab's team would add extra A's in the middle of his surname to see how many they could get away with.
I was right.
Do you know what the record was?
48,000.
5.
5?
So his name read Dominic Raab. Kanye West, you're absolutely right, has shortened his name this week. He wants to be known hereafter as Ye.
Ye. Is it Ye? Oh, it's pronounced Ye, is it? Okay.
How have Weight Watchers shortened their name?
WW.
They've gone to WW.
Yeah.
And it's about wellness now.
Yes, about well-being.
It's not about being fat or thin.
No.
It's about being well in a kind of thin way.
Yeah.
I'm just saying... I mean, you don't go along and they just don't mention it.
No.
Would you like to get on the scales and see how well you are?
They've all made their names shorter, except for Dominic Raab, who's had his name made longer by his staff. Referring to the ongoing negotiations with Brussels, Brexit Minister Dominic Raab warned conference delegates, "We're being sucked into an indefinite limbo," which is, of course, where Jacob Rees-Mogg believes all unbaptised children end up. Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication The Organ. Doesn't print many copies, but has a huge circulation. That's because after they've read it, most people donate their organ to someone else. And we start with... Winston Churchill would spend £80 a year on what?
Was it Broadband contract he really needs to cancel.
Cigars.
Ubers.
Boiler suits.
T-shirts.
Women's underwear.
Pies.
Nazi memorabilia.
Shoes. Women's underwear. Silk
Just in
knickers.
case
Silk
it's
pants.
got
Silk
the war.
pants.
Absolutely.
Silk pants?
Winston Churchill would spend £80 a year on silk underwear.
I never knew that.
Winston Churchill gained access to all the silk underwear he needed when, in 1942, codebreakers at Bletchley Park cracked Victoria's secret. Next, a very warm what found in St Albans?
Organ.
Gotta be. A very warm and comforted and tuneful organ.
A very warm welcome to the International Organ Festival.
Oh.
The St Albans International Organ Festival is a major undertaking. They've pulled out all the stops. Thank you for that. There we are.
It was a long day in the writer's room, wasn't it? By the time we got to this, that'll do.
Paul and Josh?
Organ, yeah. Quite up, organ.
Here.
Pull out the stop now. How do I get home from here?
Kylie Jenner lied about trying what with what for the first time.
Ant with deck.
I think it's milk with cereal.
Yes. About trying cereal with milk for the first time. Coincidentally, snap, crackle and pop are the noises the various Kardashians' implants make when they all sit down for breakfast. And finally, police brand what? Absolute madness.
Their favourite album.
I know this one. It's trying to catch criminals.
Police brand man driving car filled with tree branches. Absolute madness. This is a man in Stockport who was stopped by police driving this. The driver had been clearing out garden rubbish and asked for several other fences to be taken into consideration. So the final scores are absolutely tied. Paul and Josh, Ian and Naga all on 7. But before we go, there is just time for the caption competition.
Is he going... And you're sure that's Tony Blair that's tied to the rails in front of you?
Next.
There's always a thick person in every class.
And I leave you with news that, in London, news spreads of how much Boris Johnson stands to lose in his divorce settlement. In Washington, Melania Trump is reassured that the Perspex screen she installed is well worth the money. And in Munich, as a VIP visits a kindergarten, it looks like little Gunter, the teddy monitor, may have some explaining to do. Good night.
Reading the news can make you a little irate. Join Jonathan Pye back in the studio, available now from BBC 3 on BBC iPlayer. The next A Hypnotist has Agnes under his spell, Mrs. Brown's Boys, in a moment.
I'm the doctor. When people need help, I never refuse. Come on, gang. Let's get a shift on.